be something special. And yes, it's a try. Langanamasi. Kona Pate Langanamasi. Amelin. Jorgensen. Lancaster. Finds the line.
And the kick it goes. Kaya Nepia. That is absolute brilliance.
Here he comes again. That's another one.
We have a banger tonight. So many storylines.
And now it's there for Failangi. And a hat-trick for the Miracle Man, Miracle Failangi.
Does it feel like home now? You've found something you can build on?
I'm home.
I'm home. Tēnā koutou katoa, good evening, welcome into the breakdown. What a round of Super Rugby. I feel like we could be talking so much about that. The miracle of Moana Pacific, the Drua winning at home in Fiji for the first time this season. And what about the Brumbies? Basically, the last time they won at Eden Park, Stephen Larkham had only just retired from rugby. It had been that long, 2013 if you need reminding. But instead of starting with all the miracles this weekend, we have superheroes joining us on the program for Kids Round, round 5 of Super Rugby. Introduce yourself, team, starting with you over there, Stephen Donald.
Well, clearly, Kirst, I am the Black Panther from Chiefs Forever, apparently.
Oh, no.
Seriously. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, it goes on later.
Never even
Never
watched
seen the
it
movies.
before.
Seriously.
You've got 3 children who, they'll know Black Panther, won't they?
But scary for them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Spider-Man's not too scary for children. Mills?
Every child knows who Spider-Man is, and that's why I've got the best. I loved it. As soon as we got on screen, you should have seen them pump their chest out like that. Hey, it's like you're a superhuman or something.
Don't make me angry.
You
wouldn't like it when I'm
What are
angry.
you,
Because
mate?
clearly I'm the Hulk, which is so inappropriate for me, other than the fact I've got a little bit of short fuse. But let's see what happens tonight. See if I get a bit fired up with you two over there.
Okay, so we start the show with superheroes. Let's take a look what's coming up on the menu.
Coming up on the breakdown, Jeff's fallen in love with the Crusaders again. Mills asks why Moana and the Drua are fan favourites. We look at who should start at openside for the All Blacks. And Angus Ta'avao joins us in studio ahead of Kids Round, and he's got a jersey to give away.
So once again, another jam-packed breakdown for your Sunday evening. Time now for Pick and Go, where our experts pick something they're passionate about and, well, they tell us exactly why we should jump on board with them. Spider-Man, Peter Parker, you're up first.
Well, I absolutely love the weekend and the fact that we showed some beautiful pictures, particularly of the Moana game and how they sort of won. So my pick and go really is why the Moana fans and the Drua fans so passionate in getting behind their team, but also the creativity that they've used around sort of the stadiums, the music that they've got going on. I mean, the colourful scene. I love the way Moana's gone about it. They've even sort of geographically understood where they're at Albany Stadium, the use of the braais and getting the South African community around them. So the creativity in that, but also making sure that they're getting their team behind them. And I mean, to be fair, they haven't been the most successful teams over the last few years, but the following that they're getting is amazing.
Do they have the best fans in Super Rugby?
Yeah, well, me and you were there a couple of weeks ago, and the volume that they were creating when they were coming back against the Landers, and yeah, you look at the Drua fans too, and it looked like torrential rain there. So you can't say that it's result dependent as far as your fan base and the energy that they create.
They're still the underdogs when they play. They're still the underdogs. They're still new to this competition. Expectations are through results that they're probably not going to win every week. But when they're at home in front of their own fans, it's a different environment, it's a different culture. And what they have done at North Harbour Stadium is they have found somewhere, I think, where they want to find a base, where they can connect people to them. It was good, but let's not overestimate the number of people that were there. These are smaller stadiums. Great to see them packed out. But in terms of what they've done and offering and made it accessible and getting people through the gate to get some momentum, they've done it perfectly. And now it's whether or not they can build on that.
Totally agree with it. And the stadiums are a little bit smaller, but the accessibility, the ticket prices, $10 kids, you know, I've had my wife and kids go along to all sorts of games, even at Eden Park, but the price of the tickets are outstanding. You know, $10 to get in, they've got the vibe behind it, you know, there's different sort of food outlets. I like that.
I saw your kids stealing the limelight on television, but did they also make their way to the bank to play a little bit of touch and show off a bit of Muliaina skill?
No, they didn't. And I tell you what, they're just like they keep jumping ship from you know, sort of team to team. One's a Hurricane fan 1 week, the other one's a Chiefs fan and a Blues one.
I did see security chasing some kids. Were they your kids?
They weren't my kids.
Okay, sure. Are you sure?
No way.
Sure?
Okay, pick and go number 2, Black Panther.
Yeah, for me, obviously a wonderful weekend, but I think we knew these results were coming. I thought the teams that were named on Wednesday, you looked at the Chiefs going to one of the toughest places in Super Rugby road trip-wise, without McKenzie, without Luke Jacobson. I think this was on the table. First of all, what does it say to your own team? Of course, there's some injury clouds around those ones in particular. But what does it say to your team? Flip side of it, what does it say to the opposition? And I just think that they didn't have answers with the guys involved. And then you look at the Hurricanes, having Roigard and Karifi on the bench for me was a massive statement saying what you're going up against. And then when they got in trouble, bring them off the bench. I mean, everyone gets caught in love with what Rusty does for Springboks, that the bench can change things. Once the rot is set in and you've got a team, both your team's caught in the headlights and the opposition have grown in belief, I don't think you can turn it around.
So this wasn't a surprise. So the 80% of people on Super Rugby tipping that picked the Blues, Canes and Chiefs, it wasn't a surprise with that 80%.
Show my TAB account.
No, you missed today. You admitted you missed today on the Reds.
I went one extra.
A little bit better. We went extra. We always go 2-1. I think I understand where you're coming from, but we have seen already in this competition, first couple of weekends, where the bench has made a difference in a number of games, and it's come down to the wire. I'm not sure about that. I think the proposition of playing in Fiji is so difficult. We've known that already. I think it was hard for the Chiefs. They've had strong results at home, have the Drua. So I'm not think that it's an upset. You're one play away in Eden Park. Actually, the Blues have had a couple of games they're one play away from having won another couple of games. And the Brumbies themselves, I think, and I've put them as a contender all year, I think they're a side that haven't started the season well, but recognise how important this game was. And they had a couple of loose forwards who are really, really good. I'll get to talking about the Blues in a moment because they weren't good in the second 40 minutes. So I think for me, I understand where you're coming from, but both those teams had plenty of opportunities to win games.
I think this was a gamble for the teams that have done it, and it hasn't paid off. I think what we've found in this competition is you can't afford to rest your players. You can't afford to go, hey, actually, let's look to the future. The tightness of the competition right now, you've got to win games. And to your point, I think that's right. I think... I would almost sort of let the Hurricanes off the hook a little bit. I think they were trying to, sort of combat what the Moana would do in the last 40 minutes. They didn't get it right, and that was the biggie. But I think you've got to win games, and you've got to start your guys, and you can't afford to actually rest them.
So we will not see All Blacks being rested against teams like Moana Pacifica, the Drua, the Western Force, like they have in the past?
I don't think you've got the ability to be able to do that until you're sort of comfortably ahead on the table, and no team is at the moment.
Well, let's take a look at the table then, because after 4 rounds, this is what everyone has been asking for from Super Rugby as a competition for years. There are 3 New Zealand teams, 3 Australian teams in the top 6, and there is barely anything separating the entire table. Yes, the Chiefs are out there on the top. The Waratahs, would you believe it, are the only unbeaten side so far this season. They have had a bye. The Highlanders, Jeff, they are in 3rd position after a bye week. Crusaders, Reds, Brumbies make up the top 6. Force, Drua, Moana Pacifica, Blues, Hurricanes, so those bottom 4 teams all sharing 1 win apiece. There is not a single team that hasn't picked up a win in the competition so far, which is really, really impressive. It is competitive. You said, Breakdown Show 1, this will be the most competitive competition that we have seen in a very long time.
And it can change really quickly. Each weekend, as we can see there, all of a sudden you get a couple of results and you can get yourself back into a playoff picture. And we've known, and we'll hear it from Australia, because they're already
saying drop another New Zealand team. Matt Tamua has come out saying New Zealand need 1 less.
I can say on my pick and go, thank heavens for the Crusaders, because the way that they played this afternoon in Christchurch. Because look, to be fair, my Highlanders win in action, but I want to talk about the Crusaders because I think they were the only New Zealand team in action this weekend. I think I've got a really clear understanding about how they want to play, how they want to create space, how much they want to use. All of those things are really important to me, and they're parts of their game where they're making good decisions, they've got players in key positions, and they've got creativity, but they can find space. There were other teams, New Zealand teams on the weekend, I were really disappointed in just how they're attacking their line. Their big players have got their hands on the ball, putting pressure on the defence, finding space. For me, I think the Crusaders, I thought they might have found a way back last year. I think after this weekend, after this performance today, they'll be really, really happy. But
hey, you're back on the bandwagon. You're back on the bandwagon.
Are we going to
here you go. Now that they're winning,
we're going to auction this off as well. Is that what we're going to do? More importantly, I'm going to show you a graphic. I want to show you a graphic, and this is an All Black graphic, all right, about how our attack over the last 15 has changed, all right? For 10 years, we're one of the best attacks in the world. Don't worry about the conceded right now. I'm going to get to that a little bit later on in the show. We used to score 29 points a game. We're now scoring 22 points a game in the last 5 years. That's a 7-point drop. Really hard when you lose that sort of attacking prowess. A couple of teams this weekend I thought were disappointing. Their kicking games, particularly the Hurricanes and the Blues, these are things which to me where they're not actually helping. You're not being contestable situations. When I looked at this, guys, their kicking was inaccurate, created counter-attack opportunities, broken defensive lines, just not enough variety, not enough ability to get the ball back, presenting teams with too much opportunity. And for me, you need to have a structure about how you want to play with the ball, and that's good field position. You're 45 metres from the opposition line. Why are you trying to kick for territory? Same thing here. Kicking for nothing. This here, putting the ball out in the forward and behind straight to an opposition player. You're 40 metres from the line. I think we need to work in our attack game if we want to be a serious threat going forward to the big teams, because the more we present the ball to the opposition, I think the less we'll get out of it.
Goldie, when you look at this, obviously you touched on the kicking stuff. When you look at some of our teams, do you think there's actually any strategy? Or what do you think's the trend at the moment? Because, I mean, when we
run out of ideas and we're not sure how we're going to multi-phase our way into space. How we're going to create space to attack to. We go, we're not getting enough gain line because we're not being deceptive enough. Let's just kick it high and hope for the best. And those kicks are not accurate enough, Mills, for me. When I look at them, they're just not accurate. They're not giving us a chance to get the ball back as a New Zealand side.
2019 was a biggie, right? And if you remember the Rugby World Cup, we lost to England. We almost went from that to say that we're going to play a totally different style of game. Almost copied the European style. Let's kick, let's try and get competitive, let's make sure our props are big and not so much mobile. I think we're starting to get a little bit of difference in that. The rules are definitely impacting the fact that we're going back to our old game, pre-2019. But I think in 2019, through to what you've sort of said, we went through a whole period where we thought that the way the Europeans or the way the Northern Hemisphere are playing, we should follow because they're so successful. And we sort of lost our way. We're very much on top of the ground, trying to get our bigger boys sort of moving. And I think that's where we've lost it a little bit. We kicked to try and get the ball back, or we kicked and forced mistakes. We've got to get back to sort of running on top of the game and being a little bit more expansive. And I think the rules in Super Rugby, both for us and also Australia, is actually implementing it.
That is pick and go this week. The Hulk is well and truly fired up. Let me give you one other number, and that is the number 7. And how many people have worn that jersey for the All Blacks in the last 2 decades? If you look at the numbers on your screen, since 2001, 74% of tests have been started at 7 by Richie McCaw and Sam Cane. So basically 2 players over the last, 15 to 20 years have worn the All Blacks number 7 jersey. So who wears it in 2025 now that both of these 2 players have been and gone from the All Blacks jersey? The first question that needs to be asked, is Angus Ta'avao a 7 for the All Blacks?
For me, he is. And it stops and finishes right there. If he wants to be, well, not if he wants to be, if the All Blacks want him to be their 7, he is their main man. He's our best player by a country mile, and he has the ability to play 7 or 8 and equally as well. But for me, he is their 7. Watching Moana in the last couple of weeks, when we talk about making an impact at the breakdown, when we talk about what he can do with ball in hand and the close confrontational stuff, we obviously know how big a defender he is. He's just the 7 for me, and if there's an opportunity to now have him as the All Black 7, then why not?
So is he Sam Cane and Richie McCaw? Is he that type of 7? You're saying he plays the way that they played the game? Because there was a reason last year that Scott Robertson ended up going back to Sam Cane. He felt he needed that player, that type of player at openside. We had plenty of other options. We've got plenty of other young guys who have played at the highest level. You've got guys who have been given... Dalton Popelea had 36 test matches. He had the opportunity to go there. When you start thinking about style, and you've got to remember, I think this is the guy who was supposed to take over the jersey when Angus Ta'avao was selected as a number 8. Are we starting getting a little bit lost in the balance here, Mills, when you start going, what is Dalton? What is Luke Jacobson? What is Ethan Blackadder? What's a true 7? To me, pure and simply, I'm not going in this direction right now. I'm looking at a Duplessis Kirifi. Dalton gives you a bit of versatility. He gives you some size. He gives you some physicality. I'm not sure I'm going in this direction right now. And if you look at last year, he maybe fell out of favour a little bit.
What does a Duplessis Kirifi give you at 7?
Oh, relentless. Duplessis relentless. If you watch him, he's a very good athlete. I think he's got a massive engine, and that's the other side of it. He doesn't plod his way around the field. he continues to fight and scrap every opportunity he gets at a breakdown. So when I think of him, I think of a guy who can carry. He can do that. He can carry the ball. He doesn't slow down, Millsy. He doesn't slow down. The impact last night was huge. The last 20 minutes he came on the pitch, and you mentioned it, why didn't he start? It's presenting Peter Larkai with an opportunity. Another contender. For me, Karifi's matured over the last 4 years.
Oh, man, has he what? I mean, given the fact where he's come from, early in his career, gave away a lot of penalties because he was making sort of decisions because he was so hungry at sort of fighting for the ball. He's in the mix. I think you've got to take Karifi, whether he comes off the bench or starts at 7. Right now, with Satiti out, I'd pick Karifi there at 7 if you're going to have Artie at 8.
So who gets left out then? Because think about the players that the All Blacks took on the end of year tour last year. Dalton was in New Zealand, Luke was injured. Ethan Blackadder, Peter Larkai, Angus Ta'avao. There were so many 7s that can also play 6 and 8 as well that were taken over. Who doesn't make it when you add Dalton and Luke back into that mix?
Well, it's not so much who doesn't make it. I think
but you can't take them all.
Exactly. But what you've got to try and establish is what sort of game do you want to play. And when you look at a guy like Angus Ta'avao, Satiti, and also Finau coming sort of back into the fold, and also Karifi, I like that balance. And if you're trying to go for a combative look, I don't think that's our style. These guys are going to get there, and I think that's your sort of mix. It's where do you put Artie? That's going to be the first thing, because you feel that where you want to play him, then everything else you've got to sort of pick around that.
So you're saying that Duplessis Karifi's a straight switch for Sam Cane in the squad? Is that where the spot is available?
I think if I was picking the All Blacks today, he would be the 7 today if you're going to put Artie at 8. Today. I think Karifi, if it was me picking the All Blacks, he's in the All Blacks.
Why has he not been there for the last few years?
Do you want to know why I'm so hot on this? Because can we put up my graphic again? Because I was going to get to the conceded points. Because that's the other side of it. Yeah, I know. I want to run the graphic again. We talked about our attack. We've seen a 14-point swing in the last 5 years. 14 points. Okay, so we now concede one more try a game. So we've got, and these are against the big guns, because we can morph this of all the other games where we win by 100 points against Italy at a World Cup and those sort of games. But this is against the big 4. All of a sudden, we're now conceding one more try, 24 points, and we're only scoring 22. The conceding is the concern for me. We were the best defensive team and the best counter-attacking team for a long, long time. That's what we did, how we put pressure on the opposition. Now, I think with our loose forwards, that's where we need to get our competitive advantage. Together, they set the tone defensively, because they have to defend in the most difficult channels, usually 3 or 4 out in a ruck, or off a set piece at the tail of a line-out or the edge of a scrum.
Was Ethan Blackadder's defence in Christchurch not good enough for you today?
I'll say this, okay, and there's no doubt about it, Ethan's one of those guys in the conversation, all right? But don't confuse activity for excellence. Don't confuse the impact you have on the game, the ability to play at different speeds at the moment. It's just a little bit one-paced for me. He continues to battle and battle and battle. Is he strong enough? Is he quick enough across the ground? Can he stay in support? He'll keep fighting and play hard. He's got to show more to me. He's one of the guys. He's in the conversation. Once again, though, is he a 7? Are we trying to win the race to the breakdown? That's for me. Win the race to the breakdown. Read the game.
What was that line again? Activity over...
Excellence.
Excellence.
So people are busy.
Okay,
I play with plenty of players who are busy, right? All of a sudden, it looks like I'm involved. I'm everywhere. I bet a lot of guys who hit a ruck like that. They hit a ruck. They're the 3rd or 4th guy to a ruck, and it's like accuracy.
I would like a genuine fetcher back in there. And to be fair, once Sam sort of found his way, he kind of went away from fetching a bit more from his earlier career. He became the guy that sort of hit guys defensively. He hit a lot of rucks defensively. He sort of set guys on their backsides. Now's the time for us, I think. We've got that. I mean, you're talking about Ethan Black. He'll work hard and he'll scare guys, but I think we've got a balance of guys that can actually do that and be a little bit more expansive with a bit of speed. And that's why Karifi, for me, fits all those boxes, okay? He can still jump me, a little bit shorter than a lot of the guys, but he's still got sort of speed and sort of elevation as well at the same time.
But if you're looking for that tough defender, the concrete shoulders type character, aren't you looking for Luke Jacobson, Beeve?
I would have Luke Jacobson in the conversation big time. And again, it goes back to where's Artie going to fit? Because all of a sudden, then Luke Jacobson well and truly comes into it. I still feel he's been underutilised at All Black level over the last probably 3 or 4 years. When he first came through Offaly as Sam Cane and reincarnation, he has that ability to be a 7. Obviously, his own versatility probably kills him off at times because he can play all 3. But for me, he's certainly in the conversation. But all of this is very dependent on...
one man.
Well,
one player.
One player, but also Razor, as far as how does he want to play it? Because as Goldie and Mills, you've both mentioned, we went a little bit European on it for a long time now. And even last year, I probably thought we were quite narrow, probably a little bit conservative. Well, if you're going to play that game, then it's it's not necessarily Kirifi. It's right. Let's get the biggest bruises we can find.
We went down that path with Scott Barrett at blindside flanker for a long time, didn't we? We wanted to go a bit bigger. How's that actually worked out for us? That's the question I have.
Oh, you like a Scott Barrett at 6, right?
And to me, I think I look at the stats. I just look at our numbers in terms of our ability against the big teams to not just score points, but to stop them scoring. And to me, and you go back, and the standard has always been in our loose forward trio, it's McCaw, it's Reid, and it's Kaino. Pure and simple. And they were unforgiving.
But there were 3 different types of players as well.
Three different types of players. Not hybrids, not hybrids.
I know. That's where we've got to get to. And that's and when you talk about Kane, I mean, Razor didn't really. I think he wanted to try and blossom some of the younger players. He didn't have that luxury when they lost sort of games. And then you go back to your tried and true to solidify things, bring Kane back into it. But we didn't sort of evolve from that. So now's the time, particularly if the French are bringing an understrength side, that you're going to blossom some good talent. And I think he's definitely in that mix.
Very, very interesting. Great conversation, great chat. I love how fired up the Hulk was. Spider-Man got in there as well, and Black Panther, well, you're not too bad yourself. He is Chiefs forever, Luke Jacobson forever, or Adi Savia forever, as he says. Plenty more still to come on the breakdown, including a very, very special guest who is in the house. What are you tiptoeing around there for?
Ripping my blues. Sorry, brother.
Peter Parker's not supposed to be seen during the day.
Spidey sense is tingling though, Kirsty. You're tingling right now.
We'll be back right after this with the Gus Bus.
Breakdown. Go, Mills. No drive. Eyes up blind. Yeah! Lovely D-set! 4! You're in left! Drop 10. Connect up. Unreal. Come on! Ah, look where he is! What are you doing? JT, nothing. Knock on! Yeah! Wait, great shift, brother. Great. You too, man. Great compete. Good impact, big man. Awesome game, man. You beauty. Boys, I'll just congratulate the way you attacked this week, from the prep to the fight in the week to the fight in the game. It wasn't perfect. There'll be lessons to be taken from this game. Boys, that fight was there. We are a dangerous team, boys, and we just carry that forward and we build momentum. Enjoy this feeling, boys. Enjoy it all week. When the time's up, we'll have a week off, we come and we work again, all right? But awesome shift tonight, brothers, awesome shift.
Oh, that was absolutely brilliant from Tom Savage. What a game to be mic'd up in as well. Victory for the first time at your new home, North Harbour Stadium in Albany. Time now to welcome in Spider-Man. It's the other Peter Parker who's just been creeping around in the background, Angus Ta'avao. Good to have you joining us on the program. Hey, just off the back of that, you're a proud Polynesian man, and we've seen some amazing Polynesian players transfer across to Moana Pacifica. As an Aucklander yourself, would you ever consider playing for Moana Pacifica?
I don't know, Kirst. I'll probably be as flabbergasted as Duplessis was after the game if I was asked to play for them. Because I'm 35 this month, Kirsty. I'm getting old, so...
You were scoring tries. You've still got it, Gus.
Oh, you got to do, if that man's track, you work up, and if you get the meat pie, you got to enjoy it. It's delicious, but you don't always get it.
Have you been mic'd up in a game yet at all?
No.
What do you reckon you'd offer? What do you reckon you'd...
A lot of heavy breathing. I think there's a bit of grunting from Tom Savage there. Probably not as many beeps. I try to keep it pretty, unless I'm really feeling myself. Yep. But there's a little bit of, especially scrum time, there's a little bit of talking goes on. I like to have fun with it.
A little bit of talking. Once you beat the Hurricanes, geez, there was some trash coming out of your mouth.
Hey, mate. Well, that wasn't off me. It was me and Brad Shields. We know each other. Okay. We were just exchanging words, saying like, mate, love you, mate. See you after the game. Catch up for a beer.
Animated?
You know,
Oh, yeah.
That's the passion, that's the love we have.
Okay, well, since these guys are clearly not going to ask and get into it, I've got to ask you about the team on your chest, Gus. The Blues at the moment, 1 from 4 to start the season. What has been the biggest difference, do you feel, between last year, where you lost 2 games all season, and this year, where you've already dropped 3 in the first month of the competition?
It's the game of rugby and how tight this competition is. I heard you guys talking about. It wasn't a surprise. I think, Beav, you called a few during the week about the upsets. But for us, we just haven't been as clinical as we would have liked. I was looking over stats of all our games, and I think we've lost the territory battle and the having the ball in hand. So off the back of that, I think a lot of it comes down to execution and that is making sure we own our own ball. I think we had 7 turnovers against the Brumbies on the week, and we got into positions to make them pay for it, to execute, and whether that was a line-out loss, a turnover at the breakdown, execution in terms of skill set, and then boom, we're straight back on the back foot in our own half under the pump.
We left Kirsty out in the bag. Didn't want to answer the first question about that. Look, you banged
Hard-hitting
up.
journalists
I know.
around here,
Journalists
these
get in
three.
there. Look, you banged up though. I mean, you've got some guys, and clearly the injury to Bowden hurts. After the first 40 minutes, you guys looked as though you'd started to find something. Okay, so how do you tap back into that first 40? Have you talked about that? Over the last couple of days ago, or this is where we go. This is the direction we head.
100%. And at half-time, I saw Bowden with his socks on and boots off, and I said, mate, what's going on? He said, I've broken my hand. So definitely felt for him. It felt like we got into a bit of a flow state. We were able to hold on to the ball, the communication from him out the back, giving the little tips out the back ball and creating space and seeing that space. As a forward, that gives you real confidence. And for us to just do what we need to do, nail our roles. So I think next job is obviously we're going to see how bad that hand is and how long he's out for. And then just like other people have, it's the next man up. Harry filled that role beautifully last year. And I think it's about us just getting back to what we know. I think we sort of tried to do some things and change some things that probably isn't our DNA. And I think as a team, especially as a forward pack, we really need to stand up, own moments through our set piece, earn the chance to move down the field, and then trust what our outsides and our backs are talking to us. Just do our job.
Is it as simple as that, Gus? I mean, last year you won a championship by playing really direct. You starved teams of ball. When you got down there, you didn't make mistakes. But you've got a team also that can play the expensive game. And at the moment, the competition itself and the rules and they're allowing guys to actually play that. Is it trying to get back to that discipline of playing that sort of rugby that you did last year, but sort of trying to get the balance right at the same time?
I believe when we set the scene early, when we earn the right to go wide, that's when the spaces open up. And I think that's what we did through parts of that Brumbies game, where we pull in that defence and then the backs see the space out wide, they can attack them, use their skills. I mean, we do have some of the best outside backs in the game, in the world, But you can't get that space open if you're not doing your job up front. And 7 turnovers at the breakdown is not good enough. And that's conversations we've been having. As forwards, we need to have a really hard look at ourselves and be better in that space because we're letting our backs down. And last year, we prided ourselves on doing that really well, getting good go forward, making defences really question what they're doing. Do we come in here? Do we tackle him? Oh, there's Bodie at the back. Oh, there's Mark Talia. There's Caleb Clark. But like I said, there's no point in all that fancy stuff out back if we're not doing our job through the guts, earning it.
Gussie, me and your Spider-Man mate here have been in some campaigns where we've got behind the 8 ball and it's tough to get back. How brutal competition is. How's it feeling right now in the camp? Obviously belief still strong.
100%. Still got massive belief, and we have seen how tight this I don't know what the points differential is from Chiefs down to, I think we're 3rd to last at the moment, but it can change just like that. You string a couple good wins together. You're right back in the competition. And yeah, we're banged up, but we've got some great young talent coming through. We've got some guys coming back from injury.
Who's coming back from injury before the Chiefs match?
Oh, I don't want to. Hey.
Oh, come on. You can't drop that and not tell us.
I was told I was coming here to do children's round and talk about how beautiful this jersey is.
You just said you got players coming back from injury.
You've been in both camps, right? You've been when there's the conversation about playing the Blues up north, and now you're under a bit of a heat. You lost them in the first round. What does that conversation look like now for you guys when you're going down to Chiefs country? Being a proud Chiefs man before?
Oh, mate, no, hey, I'm an Auckland boy, born and bred, you know. I'm an 09 boy, proud to wear this Blues jersey. Obviously enjoy my time down there, but I rep the Blues. You know, this is my team. I'm not going down there to lose another match. And you look at we're 3-1, but each of those matches, even that first match against the Chiefs, we scored that try in the corner, Mark Telea, momentum shifts, you know, Highlanders. But every game we've had is opportunities for us to win, and I know it's easy to sit here. It feels like I'm talking about the Auckland season last year, which I don't even want to mention. But
no, we've moved on, Gus.
But the rivalry is strong.
But I feel like the shifts that we need to make aren't big.
Yep.
It's up to individuals to take responsibility and be better. Don't be afraid of the big stage, of the pressure that comes with a game. Embrace that and back yourself, because we're doing the work.
You know who'd embrace the pressure of the big moments and the big games? That is Spider-Man and Peter Parker. You'll be wearing these jerseys this weekend for Kids Round. This is what you came in to talk about. Not give us the exclusive
this is the good stuff
maybe Stephen Pettifettel will be back.
I'm not saying anything. Kirsty, I'm not saying anything.
Look, well, Gussie's giving away a jersey, not just a Blues jersey. You can pick any size and any jersey for Kids Round, so any of the jersey that the boys are wearing. What is your question? Your question for our listeners to answer at home.
I must say, looking around here, though, that these Blues jerseys probably are the most beautiful of
You
all.
said you like the Wakanda Forever.
No, I said in person, it probably doesn't hit as much.
So it's the
I don't know if it's Beaver, but it's something about it. But anyway, my question is, which newspaper did Peter Parker work for in Spider-Man? Who was he taking photographs of, and what was the paper that he was working for?
Can you give us your best Spider-Man impersonation?
Spider sense is tingling. I was gonna web you, but I won't.
I thought you were going to go up there with a spider web.
Should I go upside down? Kiss, bro. We'll do the upside kiss. Come on, Mills, me and you, Spider. Sorry,
Thank you so much for coming in. There is the breakdown email if you would like to enter the competition as well. You're a legend. Thanks for coming in and answering all those hard-hitting questions. I'm so sorry for putting you on the spot like that, but you know we love you on the programme. And best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
There you go. Time now for our top 5 moments of Super Rugby's round 4.
A weekend of upsets kicked off when the Brumbies beat the Blues at Eden Park for the first time in 12 years. Even Bernie was smiling. But at least Rieko Ioane did something he hasn't done for far too long.
Gets the ball away to Telea on the inside, and Rieko Ioane at last has scored and breaks a drought that goes back to May 2023.
And it's hard to call the Drua winning in Fiji an upset, well, because they do it all the time. Players tiptoeing through the Chiefs' defence.
This could be something special, and it is! Yes, it's a try!
While they partied in the stands, the players weren't shy either. Not to be outdone in the upset stakes, France destroyed Ireland and their dreams of a Grand Slam. Let's just hope they send a decent side to tackle the All Blacks. The Blues Wahine were almost upset. That is till Portia Woodman-Whitcliffe shrugged off a below-par performance to score this match winner.
Woodman-Whitcliffe pumping the legs. Portia Woodman-Whitcliffe!
But when it comes to upsets, Moana Pacifica pulled out a miracle. Not once, but 3 times in their first win of the year.
And a hat-trick for the Miracle Man, Miracle Failangi.
Miracle Failangi, some player from Moana Pacifica. We saw it firsthand a few years ago when he got to play in his homeland of Samoa for Moana Pacifica. Mills, straight out of the Pacific Islands, first player for Moana to be picked by them. Was he your player of the round? Because I feel like when you score a hat-trick, you've got to come pretty close.
Yeah, pretty easy when you score a hat-trick like that. And he is a fantastic player. But my player of the round isn't. It's Patrick Pellegrini. And I just think the way he's sort of been introduced into the side, obviously last week when he sort of came in, he's got nice execution, great footwork. He's cool and calm under pressure. Even, Fa'alongo said to us after the game that he's very confident in himself. But what I also love about him is he fits the mould of what the Moana Pacifica are trying to play. They're trying to play this expansive style, but he also understands how much depth he needs to have, Beaver, and when sort of setting guys alight. And it's one of his biggest attributes as well, is his boot. Yeah. He's got a very long boot. His accuracy sort of kicking at goals as well is exceptional. So for me, he played a very big part in the win against the Hurricanes.
What a pickup for Moana Pacifica. He's been playing in the championship over in the UK. Before that, Shoot Shield in Australia. He's been around the traps.
Yeah, I was going to say, Australia's probably let one slip there. I just love the way once he gets broken. Like, he's got all the skill set and he's controlling and he's kicking well and all the rest of it. But once it breaks up, I don't know if it's because teams don't really know him yet or what have you, or the analysis hasn't gone into him. But if you're not on your game, if you aren't presenting a solid line, if you're coming up one out of the line, he's just shredding teams at the moment and then just getting little offloads and away they go.
So he impressed you?
Very much so.
There's nothing better than someone who knows their game. Like, that's, you can see he knows this game. He's come in and he's been able to slip into the way they want to play. In his first 80 minutes, looked fantastic. Just looked as though he's complete control. You talk about that. But then it's time to counter-attack. Not a great kick, so it's time to go. You know, a lot of teams would have tried to just kick it back. He's going, you know what, we can go from 60 here. OK, it's not working out now I'll go to the year. But he had some nice creativity. What a great start for him. OK,
so your player of the round, Beef. It's the round of first fives, isn't it?
Well, it is. And in a game like what got shown in Fiji, is you had to have a controlling 10. And I thought Armstrong Ravula gave an absolute masterclass on wet weather footy. Yeah, he didn't have the highlights package, but his kicking game, he knew when to pull things back. He knew when they had a chance their arm. Obviously did all his fundamentals, goal kicking and kicking for touch well. But I just love the way he controlled things. And it must be the toughest job in the world, being first five for the Drua and reining them in. But he did that. He just said, no, we've got a kick here. And he just chose his kicks and chose when to have a crack. And in the big moments when goal kicks, and yeah, there wasn't overly tough goal kicks, but when kicks needed to go over, they went over and they went and beat the top of the table Chiefs. So you've got to think somebody went pretty well for them.
Yeah, he's been like that for a long time, hasn't he? I think that he's very much a confidence player. You know, he gets himself on the front foot. If you've got a big crowd in behind you, he'll go. He's been sort of hampered by injuries for the last couple of years, which has probably held him back a little bit. But when you're playing in the rain in Fiji, that was a class act.
Jeff, you've broken the mould. You're the only one not to go with a 10 on the back of their jersey, but someone sort of in a playmaking role.
No, he is the playmaker for the Crusaders. It's David Havili, because he's their captain, but also he's the guy that I think understands their game the best, and he's taking the pressure off the younger players around him. When I look at his game and management, his understanding, he is a right place, right time sort of player. Plays multiple positions. He's been asked to play as a 12 for a number of years now, and now he's embraced that. He's still willing to carry to the line. He carries hard. He's got great decision-making, like his versatility. Sort of guy that you would look as a really nice bench player if you wanted to bring impact on at the next level, which he's done before. I just think for me, they need someone like that, and he's taken those reins. Missed a bit of time last year with injury, so they really missed him when the pressure was on. Looked really good in terms of driving this team. When you're talking about, to me, is distribution, and he's doing it from 12, the 12 jersey. His connection too with Will Jordan, the best connection, the best 1-2 punch, I believe, in the competition.
Well, Crusaders design a lot around Havili, don't they? You talk about his connection. The fact that he's the man, you're talking about distribution skills. If you've got a fullback like Will Jordan out there, you want to be able to get the ball to him with one pass maximum in the modern world before this line speed coming defensively. And if you can get it straight to him, like Havili and probably not too many other midfielders in this country have the ability to throw that cut-out ball because of his skills, then he's the perfect man for the Crusaders.
And the extra responsibility. You know, when you're a captain and there's a lot going on, you're thinking he just seems like one of those guys, and they always talk about it, you know, the more responsibility they have, the better they become. He's clear in what he wants to do with his team, but also his type of style of playing, setting guys up.
So did you guys have him in your fantasy team?
I did.
I didn't play this week, sorry.
Oh, well, I did. I played and I had him in my fantasy team. I had the worst round that I've had in 4 weeks of Super Rugby, and somehow I still managed to beat these chumps. Look at me there at the very top, 2174. Look, I'll be honest, it's like the Super Rugby ladder at the moment. Fantasy is so congested that it doesn't matter. There's no difference between 1 and 20,000.
Beaver, how many people of your players weren't playing this weekend?
Half a dozen. Including my captain, Damien McKenzie.
I'm not sure that's a great strategy. I'm not sure that's how you're going to get up the team.
I rested a few.
That was a shocking round, if we're being honest, though. Damien was your captain. My captain was Bowden Barrett, who comes off after 40 minutes. I think most people would have Artie.
I had Artie. Yeah, he went out.
Who was gone after
I had Quinn Tapara in the wet and he didn't touch the ball.
Just take a miracle out of mine as well for the week. And Bowden was mine, but it was 130 points.
He did well for captain material. Imagine if he was on for the full 80 mils, you'd be sitting at the top.
Not bad, yeah. I'm just pacing myself.
Just pacing yourself. Okay, well, plenty more still to come on the breakdown. We talk Super Rugby Opeki round 2 right after this, and the Six Nations. It is getting spicy.
Yeah. I got into rugby in 2022 when one of my mates who I play touch with asked me to come and play a club game with her. My biggest supporter in my rugby journey so far would be my dad, whether that be dropping me off to training or giving me his extra 2 cents in the car on the way home. A big rugby milestone for me so far in my career, I'm going to say my debut game. We played Matutu down in Dunedin. And I was so nervous and still learning the game. Before every rugby game, my dad will send me the big paragraph text just to let me know to have fun and give it everything that I got.
Colossi heading towards the post.
I always want to make him proud. Taking the field every weekend and hearing from him or knowing that he's watching me is just, yeah, gets me excited and makes me want to do well for myself, but for him as well.
There are so many gun players in Super Rugby Opeki right now, and Jamie Colossi is certainly one of those. We talk about her every week, but Portia Woodman-Whitcliffe ended up winning the game for the Blueswoman on the weekend. She is simply phenomenal. But from what you have all seen over 2 rounds of Super Rugby Opeki, are we on track to win back the World Cup later this year? Because that is what the year is about. This is all in preparation for the World Cup.
I don't think we're on track yet. I honestly think that we're a wee way off. I mean, when you think about sort of that India tour and what we've got to sort of compete against, but it is only the second round. Matutu is showing a strong sort of style, but I think we're a long way off beef.
Yeah, no, I guess the big question is how many of the golden girls from the Sevens crew. I mean, when you think back to the Eden Park game, girls like Stacey Walker and the likes had huge impact in that World Cup, which we got across the line. So I guess there's all that to factor in too. But yeah, as you say, that end of year 2, I guess, shows that we're not quite there yet.
What are you not seeing?
It almost seems to me we're using this tournament as a lead-in way to get fit, to get faster, and then roll into test matches, whether that's... I just don't believe we've got enough resource into our tournaments. I don't believe we've got enough resource into it. I don't think we've given them the opportunity to say, hey, here's a tournament right here. We're going to resource it, have more contracted players so they can go and train full-time and not train once a week to hit the Rugby World Cup. I don't necessarily blame the girls in it, because why would you go all out when you still got jobs? And then we talk about this year in, year out. Nothing's been done, and that's what disappoints me about it, because there's talented players out there, and they need to be given more resource.
We're not ready. No, we're not ready now, and we've got a lot of work to do. I think if you go back to what was our difference, our point of difference was our preparation and the way we went into that tournament here in New Zealand, and you watched, we didn't make mistakes. We were prepared to play from in our own 22 to the other end of the park. We weren't playing a systematic style. We were using our ball through the middle of the park and then going to the edges using speed. Ultimately, we're not in that right space. And I watched these games. I've watched all 4. And there are far too many fundamental errors and basics of the game which we're not executing right now. You turn the ball over against England, Canada, and even Ireland now, who have beaten us, we are not winning this tournament. They'll be aware of this, though, that what we're seeing right now is not good enough. We have some time. Not a lot of time. One of the concerns I have right now, I'm not sure we're fit enough across the board. And
who's responsible for that?
Individuals are responsible for their fitness. Regardless of whether you are paid or not, you have to turn up fit and well conditioned to play the game. Club players do it. That's got nothing to do with money. That's about being ready to play at the highest level. If you want to compete with the best, you have to be in the best physical condition you have.
I feel like there's two different types of players in Super Rugby Opiki. There's the professional Black Ferns who are on full-time contracts, and then there's the others. If we look at the Black Ferns, are they fit enough? Because they are the ones that are going to be there.
And that's the challenge, is the fact that what we may have is we've got two different standards.
Two totally different tiers.
And that's what's making it, to your point, Mills, virtually impossible to prepare well if everyone's not in condition to play.
I'm annoyed. I'm actually annoyed because I know what you mean. We didn't prepare well at all leading into the last Rugby World Cup. We were basically in similar place. You know, we lost all those test matches in France, and we came back, and then we changed out the coaches. And by good sort of choices, in a game plan that they all bought into, we won the tournament because we changed the style that we're going to play. Right now, we're sitting at probably gone backwards from there, and that's what disappoints me the most.
I agree. What we can do is, like say, a number of sevens players will come in, and clearly they're going to be well conditioned and ready to go. Because what you can't be doing to prepare for a Rugby World Cup is getting fit. Because you've got to prepare how to play.
But you didn't answer my question. Are the Black Ferns players fit? Are the contracted players fit?
Well,
because those are the ones that are going to be
but they're not getting
Cup.
tested enough. If you look at the length of play, the style of play we're going through, how many games and phases are we getting to in a lot of these games? 4, 5, 6 before an error or a turnover happens.
So
that doesn't work.
Super Rugby is not preparing.
Not right now. Not right now. It's not. I don't believe it is. Look, this is still in its infancy in terms of a tournament, but ultimately, part of its responsibility is to prepare the team, right, Mills and Beaver? And at the moment, I think it's fine. It's difficult. They've got to keep working. I get that. But the one thing you can control is your conditioning.
I know what you mean, but this is not in its infancy. This is the 4th year. And we have had no resource pumped into this to be able to make it. Yeah, I get that. But if you're working a full-time job, and we speak about it all the time, what's your priorities? Trying to get fit? If you're a full-time professional, your priority is getting fit. And I get that. But if you want to win the Rugby World Cup, you've got to have more players and resource, considering what happened last time in the lead-in, to be able to get a better competition.
I'm old enough to talk about amateur rugby. I was fit before I got paid. I never had a problem. I was studying. I know people who are working on farms and finding a way to get fit. They showed up to training ready to go, Mills. I'm sorry. My wife worked in a sport that wasn't professional for a long time, and they set the standard to get the opportunity.
Yeah, I get that. But we are in a time, this is professional. And when we say we're going to resource things and we've got money and sponsorship, I get those in there, and you set the tone for that. But when you say you're going to put resource into the women's game, put your money where your mouth is. Don't sit there and go, oh, okay, well, let's just blame them. And I think that's where we're getting it wrong. We can't lead into a Rugby World Cup. We can't jump all over them when they win it and then go, oh, hold on a sec, let's wait another 3 years and maybe we might resource them. You can't blame them for that. Yes, the amateur days are different, and that was the amateur days. These days right now, you've got to give these ladies a chance and give them the resource they deserve.
This is a great debate, and the debate's going to be continued on the breakdown next week because we're going to bring in an expert on the women's game who has watched it all, 15/7, so she can weigh in on all of these players. Super Rugby Opiki, she hasn't missed a thing for the last 4 years. Ricky Swannell is going to join us next week. Someone who is fully professional, and that is Six Nations. Just quickly, Beef, because you watched the Six Nations this morning, and France absolutely smacked Ireland and are now in line to pick up their first title in a couple of years. Did you see a few players that could be coming down to New Zealand to make All Blacks fans a little bit nervous?
Well, we don't know who's coming down, but what it was from France...
It won't be Dupont after this morning.
It won't be Dupont, but it was one of the most impressive, I think, French performances, since, I guess, all the hype around them. They absolutely dismantled Ireland. You talk about players that we might not know of. Well, I mean, I still couldn't tell you the names of them, but the forwards coming off the bench just kept rolling through Ireland. They dismantled Ireland physically. Ireland... We know how organised and structured they are and how slick they are with ball in hand. Well, France took them out of it. They took them out of it physically, and then Ireland didn't have too many places to go to. And some of these French backs, Goldie, we do know them, or they had...
Are they coming? Can they please come?
Yeah, but I reckon there's enough of them coming to be dangerous, and their depth in their system, Mills, is strong. I am wary. I'm wary because there are players we don't know who will show up. Hard to prepare for a team that you don't know.
Well, the thing is, they're playing such good rugby, and I reckon that the tour they went on last year in Argentina has actually prepared them in the best possible way to come here. Whilst it looks like they're bringing an understrength side, this ain't going to be an understrength side.
There you go. Well, plenty to come this weekend, round 5 of Super Rugby. I'm just going to ask you about one game. Not
Landers.
not the Highlanders Hurricanes. It is the reverse fixture. The Blues 1 from 4. The Chiefs coming off the back of their first loss of the season. We know what happened in Auckland in round 1 in a rematch of the final. This one is going to be personal. You heard it from Angus Ta'avao on the program. Who wins the Battle of the Bombays from the man that's played for both teams?
I was going to say.
Let's go to Mr. Spider-Man.
He asked for it,
And he's chosen the Blues this week. He's chosen
We're running out of time, aren't we?
Which side?
Are you back in your jerseys? You're back in your jerseys.
You're going the
I would have
Chiefs.
thought so.
Well, there's no way you're going anywhere else. So Millsy's wearing a Blues and backing the Chiefs. There you go.
Up the Landers.
Enjoy
Up the
your
Landers.
week. We'll see you in 7 days' time.
Having a go and he's over. Gets the return pass and Peter Lakai scores. They get it wide. Hat-trick for Caleb Clark. Now Artemis sends it away. McKenzie has a go. He's in. That's the game.